Gorgeous. Beautiful.
Romantic?
Elegant.
Amazing. Beautiful.
Crowded.
Chaotic.
Busy. Busy. Busy.
Busy.
Very busy. Loud.
Exciting.
Active.
Huge.
Ancient.
Old.
Historic.
Very scenic.
Delicious.
Delicious?
Very friendly.
Exotic?
Okay.
Warm.
Eating. Eating.
Eating.
Eat.
Eating.
A lot of eating here that goes around everywhere, basically.
Walking.
A lot of walking. Rush. Growing.
Drinking.
Drinking.
Speak Italian.
Socializing.
Learning.
Thriving. Taking pictures. To relax. Shopping.
Travel.
To enjoy.
Definitely the Colosseum.
The Colosseum.
The Colosseum.
The Colosseum and
The Colosseum. The Colosseum. The Colosseum.
The Colosseum.
The Colosseum. The Colosseum.
Of course, the Vatican. Everybody always thinks of the Vatican.
St. Peter's.
The Vatican.
St. Peter's.
the Vatican,
St. Peter's.
The Vatican. Trevi Fountain.
Trevi Fountain,
The Trevi Fountain.
The Trevi Fountain.
The Trevi Fountain.
The Trevi Fountain.
Definitely like the Pantheon.
The Pantheon.
The Pantheon. The Forum. And the Forum.
And the Forum.
And it's a lot of archaeological sites.
I know most people come to Rome to see those monuments, but since now I'm interning in a residential area and I actually really like it. And also we went to Tivoli, which was the suburb outside Rome, and I really like that part too. So I feel like foreign tourists should have more knowledge of those places other than the famous monuments to visit.
I think that the site that's has struck me the most is St. John Lateran, San Giovanni in Laterano. It's so pretty, and I didn't even know that it existed, and then going there, and it's big, and just I think it's the best kept secret of Rome. I think of the Borghese Gallery, which is my favorite museum in Rome that we visited recently. And I think of St. John the Lateran instead of St. Peter's, knowing that that's the Pope's actual cathedral. And yeah, that was big too, that I wouldn't have thought of before.
I liked seeing the Roman Forum. I thought that was very cool. How well preserved. Well, the Romans may not consider it well preserved, but how you can get a glimpse into how life was like back thousands of years ago. Also, the Villa Borghese is a very neat place to visit too, that I enjoyed.
I think the Colosseum and the Forum did strike me a lot afterwards. I think those were really important for me at the time to see, but also to see neighborhoods around Rome and seeing how real Romans live and the modern versus the past.
For me, just the small neighborhoods in between places, even Trastevere or Trastevere, which essentially is just a bar area, but it parallels to so many of the little neighborhoods that I'm reminded of in Chicago, for example, like Wrigleyville, or places that I'm very comfortable and close to home at.
Awesome. I really liked the Trevi Fountain and the Colosseum. The Colosseum probably was my favorite. It was just so impressive. But more so, I enjoy just the life here, just seeing the streets and all the Roman people, and that's what I like the most.
I love it. I love just walking down the little roads where you just kind of get lost and you just find yourself somewhere
it's really wonderful. And there are a lot of places like little museums or churches that people don't really know about that are really beautiful, and you just kind of walk in and you're like, wow, like how did I miss this?
I would say, in a lot of cases, some of the stereotypes that have played out in media and movies, those sorts of things, have all had some sort of truth behind them. I think the Italians are very animated people, definitely very passionate about a lot of things. So it's definitely something that surprised me when I came in, because I sort of expected that to be just like this big, over-exaggerated sort of part of their personalities. But it actually is very, very much what they're like, and it makes sense with a lot of the hand gestures that they have and the way that their language kind of plays out linguistically, that it becomes sort of like a natural part of their communication.
Some of the true stereotypes I've come across is that, like in any city, some of the citizens can be rather rude to tourists. It's part of just being in a new world, I guess. Some false stereotypes is like all that Italians do is eat, drink, and slack off. There are many people here who are working every day, just like other people in America.
Okay, true stereotypes are that the traffic is very bad here and public transportation isn't very good, but false stereotypes, I would say, are that I guess there's a stereotype that Italians are lazy and don't work as much, and maybe they do work less or don't focus on work as much, but that's not entirely true. And otherwise, good food, they're loud, and those are true stereotypes.
The stereotypes are that, like, the people are lazy and, like, how do you say, like, sometimes they're known to be, like extravagant or, like, over the top, like, kind of obnoxious.
And are these true or false?
Some of them are, it depends, like, I would say, like, they're not obnoxious. No, that one would be false, but they are very, like, relaxed. I wouldn't say lazy, but...
Relaxed.
You know.
Some true stereotypes of Rome. Romans themselves, they don't believe in lines. They don't wait in lines, and are crazy drivers. Some false stereotypes. They eat a lot more than just pasta, and at least the ones that I've met are accepting and nice to American students that at least try and talk in Italian.
I would say that there's a stereotype that Italians are very welcoming, which is a very true statement. They've been very welcoming to Americans.
True stereotype is that everyone's really nice and the food is amazing. And the false stereotype is that everyone's drinking all the time.
Some stereotypes are that it's like really dirty, and I don't think that's true. I mean, it's not dirtier than any other city, and that I don't know, that I thought it was smaller. I thought it was going to be smaller than it was. So I guess that's a stereotype.
One that I'm sure everyone has said is that it's really dirty, but I don't think it's any dirtier than any other city. And another thing is that they have amazing food, which is very correct. And that Italians are really famous for their hospitality and being really warm and friendly, and that's also true.
Okay. The true stereotype is the Roman boys at the clubs. They're just as
Aggressive?
Yes, very aggressive. False stereotype is that it's a dirty place. I think it's pretty clean comparatively to our cities. Yeah.
Before I came, I heard Italians are lazy, but that is not true. But I do think, no offense, but I do think compared to Americans and Asians in Asia, Italians are slightly less polite.
Okay. I guess the stereotypes of Romans would be kind of that they kind of very pushy or just like don't really wait and just kind of like do their own thing, which I've kind of found that to be true. When you're like kind of trying to wait online, they just kind of go ahead of you. So I guess that I kind of found that to be true, but I can't think of any really that I haven't really heard many stereotypes about Rome at all. So I guess that one.
They're mixed, like with many other places. You're going to get a vast, just a variety of personalities. They're mostly nice, very nice, but always in a rush. However, at the same time, you can still try to ask them for directions and they'll help you. They usually won't give you bad looks. And if you're American, they're usually pretty okay with you.
The Roman people are very friendly, and compared to people from other European cities, I think that the Roman people like who work here or just live here, they are all really friendly. And sometimes it's hard because I feel like they stereotype you as American, and then maybe like they kind of react to you differently. But I don't think they're like ever mean or like in that way. It's just kind of like I feel like they just have stereotypes against Americans, which sometimes can be a negative for us.
The pros are that I feel like they have a nice outlook on life. Like, they want to enjoy themselves, but, of course they want to work, but, they like they love their families. And cons, sometimes I feel like they're like gratuitously rude to Americans. Like the impoliteness isn't necessary.
Okay.
But they're not horrible. That other cities are worse.
I would say that they are very welcoming once again, but sometimes they look down on Americans, which is sometimes a little daunting when you're coming to visit. But they love to be together and they love to enjoy themselves, which I think is a great thing. And they love like community, which I think is something that Americans need to work on too, because we seem to be so engrossed in our work that I like how Romans are more invested in family and relationships.
The pros is that they are very friendly and warm, and they really, they're not, I guess, prejudiced towards Americans or tourists. They really appreciate you reaching out to them. And then some of the cons is that they can be too friendly. And sometimes just come on a little strong. But well, pros, friendly. Cons, too friendly. Too friendly sometimes. The hands. Just gonna leave it at that.
The pros are that they're really friendly, and a lot of them are willing to help you if you get lost. And then the cons are that sometimes they can be aggressive.
First of all, I really like how Italian sounds like. It's just like an opera. It sounds so good. So I enjoy hearing people talk. And also, most people are very warm-hearted and they're very friendly. But as I mentioned before, I feel like people sometimes can be rude too. But maybe just different culture, because people don't tend to hold the door for you or not getting the way. So yeah.
Well, I'm from New York, so I know, like, I feel like there are some similarities with the city of New York and with Rome because there's just so many people around and there's like a lot of cars and a lot of congestion and a lot of people. But I feel like it flows a lot better here in Rome than it does in New York. Like I feel like people are just like it's just kind of more chaotic, and I feel like even though it's very crowded here, it's not as chaotic. It's kind of more of like everything just kind of goes its way, and I guess it's a lot all the old buildings, and it makes the culture seem so much more richer here.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of having the history really in the city is like a lot different from New York, where everything's all modern. It's really quite different in that aspect of having all the antiques within the city itself.
Some of the major similarities is the crowdedness in general, maybe more so in Rome, but in Chicago there's a lot of traffic and a lot of pollution that you have to deal with. Similar situation here in Rome. Some differences though are there's a very large lack of parks here, just in the general downtown area. It's mostly old historic buildings and paved or cobblestone roads, whereas in Chicago or New York there's going to be a lot of parks and other more green places along the way.
In Rome, obviously you have a lot of the historical sites that are all throughout the city and can add to it a lot and also disrupt things, like they can't create the metro, things like that. And it's just, I think it's centered different, like its layout is different, how it's in a circle and more or less. And
well, it depends on the city you're talking about, so it's a little bit hard to compare, but for one, like, a lot of major cities in the US have like huge skyscrapers. They're also a lot newer than Rome. Rome is like thousands of years old. And America at tops, the cities are like a few hundred.
Main similarities, like any city, there's a lot going on. It's very crowded, but at the same time exciting. Differences, obviously, this is the ancient and eternal city, so it has a lot more history. Architecture's older, and there's not, an abundance of skyscrapers or modern buildings.
I feel Rome is definitely more chaotic. It's more touristy, but it's really good. I mean, it's a cosmopolitan, and it's also very international. A lot of people from different parts in the world come and visit, and the food is definitely better.
I would say the major difference is just the culture, like the Italian culture. It pervades everything in Rome. Like the fact that people relax a lot more and people are a lot more friendly in Rome, I think, than they are in the big cities that you hear about in the US, like New York City and Chicago. And then a similarity is that it's loud and busy all the time. And there's always something going on.
I would say that it's similar in that it's really busy, and like any other big city, it has its challenges getting around it and finding what you need to find in a big city when you first get there and you don't know it. But it's different in that I feel like it's a little bit more personal than other big cities. Like living in the busy area of San Pietro, I feel like there's still a community here, and it's not the cold kind of isolation that you think of when you live in a city that you don't know your neighbors. And
I wouldn't really know besides from what I've seen on like TV, but it seems in Rome it's a lot more like living in the moment, maybe just like a more hectic type of lifestyle, just whereas other places like in Germany and the UK, you may have people such as like the drivers respecting the lane usage and stuff. In Italy, you won't see any of that.
It seems a lot of other European cities seem to be a lot kind of cleaner, more modern, and Rome still has that feeling that it's kind of, you're not in this big city. It doesn't feel like that. So.
Well, again, it's the Italian culture. Like, Italians, out of the other European cities I've been to, Italians are a lot nicer and a lot more, like, they're a lot more friendly and a lot more willing to help people out and associate with everyone. So,
I have only been to London before, and I feel like London was more, I'm trying to choose my words, more classic. It's like more conservative, while Rome is more, it's more open to the outside of Italy.
Okay. Well, I haven't really been. I mean, I've been to a few others, so I think that actually the antique aspect of it, having the old buildings and the ancient Roman things around, are a lot different from a lot of the other major cities. Have gotten a lot more modern and gotten rid of that type of thing.
I'd say it's more beautiful than other ones that I've seen, and I don't know. I guess it's pretty similar in that it's a big city like any of the other ones, but it's just very historic. There's so much history, and it's everywhere. Like, you can't escape it. So that's one thing that you have to accept about Rome, is that it's such a historic place when you come here, and it's everywhere. You can't escape it.
So I think a big reason to live here is the style of life, just taking it slower and focusing on maybe the more important things like family and being happy. And the food is really great too, and I do really like the people. They're very personable and talk to you a lot, and that's great. But then some reasons not to, I guess. Traffic is really bad. It's really hard to get places that you need to on time ever. And I mean, as a woman, it sometimes really gets to you walking on the street and having men make comments at you constantly, depending, so that can get to you. And I mean, you start to miss certain things about America, just the familiarity and language can get to you. So.
Again, I've mentioned the culture. I think the culture is like would be the main reason to live here. It's just everyone seems so, I don't know, friendly and warm and like neighborly, I guess. But reasons to not live here, I think, are kind of the same as with not living in other cities. You know, the size and kind of the crowdedness, and there's so many people all the time,
Tanti
everywhere.
turisti.
Sí. Tanti.
I guess one of the reasons to live here is that it's beautiful and the people are great. And I guess they have a lot of jobs. I'm not sure. And then the reasons not to live here is that the bus system is not the best, so you have to walk around a lot, and it gets really hot.
I'd say the number one reason to live here is the gelato. It is the best thing I've ever eaten in my life. Well, the food itself here is wonderful, and the culture of the food here is really quite great. It's just like it's very different from in America. So I guess like the food culture and just kind of all the access to art, and I love art so much. So I would definitely live here if I had the chance for longer.
If I do choose to live in Rome, gelato and good wine will be the major reason. But I personally, I really like Rome, and it's a perfect place for me to have a vacation in it. But I don't really like the public transportation system, and it's a little too touristy to me.
Reasons that I would. It's a beautiful place to live. The atmosphere and, like I said, the sense of community that you have in such a big city is really nice. And some of the reasons that you wouldn't, I guess, would be just like any other big city, that takes a lot longer to do things like grocery shop or get to where you want to go. You can't just hop in a car easily. But yeah, that's about it.
You can easily see many different types of museums, many different types of art, historical sites, etc. You won't be able to have some of the conveniences afforded to Americans, such as being able to grocery shop past 8 or 9 p.m. If you need something urgent, you're probably going to have to wait till the next day.
So you can easily, you walk a lot in the city, so you can easily see a lot of these great parts of the city and that can take your breath away every day. And you can easily, sit somewhere beautiful or have a great meal, meet great people, but you can't very easily eat all the time.
Things you can easily do in Rome. Like, take the metro. The metro is so easy to use, which is really nice. And, it's really easy to find somewhere to eat. That's the other thing. It's always easy to find food and coffee. Those are the two easiest things to find. Even if you're lost, there's, or a gelato. But I think the hardest thing is figuring out the bus system and, how to not get lost, because it's very easy to get lost. That's the other thing it's easy to do.
Get lost.
Get lost!
You can definitely go see beautiful monuments and churches. It's not so easy to get around on the bus because they're not that reliable. But I think you can do pretty much everything you can in a normal city.
Okay.
It's just a lot prettier.
I would probably change how they don't value air conditioning. That would probably be number one. And obviously their roads are really crammed, and they should probably try to do something about that.
First thing that I would change, I guess, probably public administration of the city.
I don't know. I mean, a lot of us have complained about the bus system is a little difficult for us Americans, so maybe that's a little, I don't know.
The transportation system. It's so hard to find the right bus and to count on getting somewhere on time.
Public transportation system, for sure.
In the world.
The monuments here are really amazing. They're really big, and I think the city is there's a lot of people. It's really chaotic.
Thank you.
Well, the monuments in here are much more impressive than other cities that I've been to, and similarities probably the way they're built.
Do you have any impressions of the Romans?
I haven't really met them, so.
So, major differences, maybe monumentals and the other cultures, I guess.
Everything is huge. It's enormous. It's really big here.
They're rude.
They're rude?
Yeah, they're real rude.
You think they're really rude?
Not as rude as the people in Paris. Yeah, not as bad as Paris. But Barcelonians are the nicest.
Thank y'all.
They're jerks.
Well, I'd say it's pretty obvious that tourists are treated differently than locals. That's something that you can see.
Yeah.
If you ask for something in Italian, you get a certain price. You ask for it in English, you get a different price.
Do you guys happen to speak Italian?
A little bit, enough to be able to.
Yeah,
To haggle?
like my family's Italian.
but living in Canada, we speak English. I speak French as well, but Italian with my grandparents here and there, so I understand more than I speak, but so I could know what they're saying.
I risposti principali che ho ricevuto dagli turisti sono stati che Roma è un posto turistico, ma è un posto chaotico perché è affollato, e non è un posto dove non si può trovare un buon servizio di trasporto pubblico, quindi si deve camminare dappertutto. Il secondo risposto che ho ricevuto è stato che gli italiani sono maleducati ai turisti. Una cosa interessante è che i turisti, come gli studenti, pensano che i romani abbiano una comunità, ma questa comunità è solamente tra i romani e gli italiani. I turisti non sono inclusi. Penso che i risposti degli studenti sono fondati nel confronto tra la situazione americana e quella italiana. Loro fanno ancora questo confronto e quindi i risposti sono affettati dal fatto. Per esempio, loro pensano che ci siano comunità in Italia e a Roma e di essere incluso in questa comunità, ma questo è perché negli Stati Uniti, per esempio, i proprietari e i camerieri non parlano alle persone che non conoscono. Per esempio, quando si dice una persona si dice come va, come stai, come sta, le persone sono quasi richieste a rispondere in un modo generale, in un modo specifico. Si dice va bene, sto bene e basta. Non si dice la verità e non si dice le altre cose. E veramente davvero non si dice una risposta lunga. Quindi a Roma è diversa. Questa situazione è diversa perché quando i proprietari o i camerieri ci parlano, loro sembrano interessati a noi e sembrano di volere la verità, e quindi i risposti degli studenti sono stati fondati nel fatto e nel questo confronto tra le due situazioni. I risposti degli turisti che ho ricevuto sono stati affettati dal fatto che loro non vedono tutta la città, vedono solamente una parte, e una parte specifica, la parte turistica. Non vedono mai i quartieri o come i romani abitano veramente. Vedono solamente i monumenti e i ristoranti e i bar. Ma allora, le persone con cui loro parlano, quindi sono le persone che lavorano nel turismo e quindi devono comportarsi in un modo specifico per fare l'economia, perché l'economia qua è fondata nel turismo, in questa parte della città, nella parte turistica. Quindi i risposti sono affettati perché vedono solamente questa parte.